All right, welcome everybody to an exciting episode today. This one is going to be a special one. I've actually got a lot of requests for this particular video, so stick to the very end and we will provide you some additional golden nuggets going accordingly to this. So if you're new to my page, my name is Jefferson Ortiz. I'm a real estate investor based out of Hamilton, Ontario, and we've wholesaled all over Canada. We have clients all over Canada with deals, and then we also have expanded out to the US. We've also built a 330 multifamily unit portfolio, and this channel is all about how to wholesale real estate in Canada. What are the myths, what are the ways, and what are the challenges that you may have. Now, in today's episode, we are going to be talking all about the markets, right? So if this is you've decided, okay, I want to do wholesale and real estate in Canada. I'm very interested, but now it's like, okay, well, what market should I focus on? So that's what we're going to be covering in today's presentation here. So again, guys, my name is Jefferson Ortiz. My company's name is Ortiz Equity Group. And today's discussion is going to be, what are the top 5 markets to wholesale real estate in Canada in 2026? We've been doing this since 2021. And essentially what the video is going to be all about is where I would start if I had to build a wholesale business from scratch today, right here in Canada. This is exactly where I would start. Now, if you guys want to visit our website here, it is wholesalerealestatecanada.com. Again, that's wholesalerealestate.com. And again, this is what we do. We provide a lot of value. We provide all the support and help when it comes to wholesale real estate in Canada. So if you're new to the page, make sure to like, follow us, and comment below what other videos you may want to see in other similar videos. All right. Without further ado, let's hit the road. So the first thing I want to cover before I actually get into the markets is that this business can be done completely virtual. 95% of our deals, or even 99% of the deals at this point, are all done completely virtual. So it doesn't matter whether you're in BC, whether you're in Nunavut, Newfoundland, it doesn't really matter where you are. You can do this, and you should do this business completely virtual. Now, obviously, if you are in one of the markets we're going to be covering today, then that just means you're in a really good position because you're physically there. So you may be able to see opportunity as well. But again, we do everything virtual. We do deals in Canada. We do deals in the US, and it can be all done completely virtual. All right. Now, before we get to the actual markets, you may want to ask yourself, well, why should I listen to you guys, right? Who are you guys? Again, my name is Jefferson and John Ortiz. We're immigrants from Colombia. We came here to Hamilton when we were 9 and 10 years old. Grew up in a single family house, not a lot of money, a lot of wealth. So we don't come from anything. And we've been, today, 2026, we have transacted on over 200 wholesale deals across Canada and expanded out to the US. So we've made, a little bit, couple millions of dollars in wholesale real estate. Now, through the wholesaling journey, we have been able to acquire over 330 apartment building units. And these are properties that we own alongside with our investors. So started with wholesaling and expanded out to the multifamily. We also wholesale land, we wholesale apartment buildings, and we've also started selling businesses. Now, in terms of our credentials, the third thing you might see here is over 100 students that we've helped get their first deal. So this is what we really special. We want to bring a lot of value. We want to help a lot of other Canadians that may be wanting to learn this business. And honestly, in my opinion, is one of the best businesses to start in 2026. So again, we built our 7-figure wholesale real estate business, and then we operate all over Canada. So a lot of the feedback I always get is there isn't a lot of information about how to wholesale real estate in Canada for Canadians. A lot of the information is American, and so that is what we wanted to focus on today. And what we wanted to focus on is how do you do this in Canada? And we wanted to provide all that value and all that information. All right, guys, without further ado, let's hit the road here. All right. So number 5, the very first one, one of the first markets that we want to cover is going to be Nova Scotia. So Nova Scotia, believe it or not, is actually one of those markets that there isn't as much competition. We have a few clients that are based out of there, and the amount of demand for housing and the amount of opportunity is huge. There's not a lot of competition in places like Halifax, Truro, really good solid markets. They have all the fundamentals in terms of numbers make sense. There's a lot of demand. There's even people from the US that have actually moved to Nova Scotia. So Nova Scotia is one of our top 5 favorite markets to do deals, specifically in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and other places like Truro. Now, One of the things that you may find, and one of the things that is very important when it comes to wholesale real estate in Canada, is make sure the markets are big enough and make sure there's a lot of investor activity. So Nova Scotia, Halifax is definitely one of those markets. We've done some marketing campaigns and the results have been tremendous. Now, here's some of the reasons why Halifax and Nova Scotia is one of our top markets for this. Growing population across Halifax, there's a lot of rental demand, a lot of requests in Durham and Bedford as well. Again, less competition, unlike some of these bigger markets like Edmonton or some other more competitive markets like maybe in Ontario. Nova Scotia does not have nowhere near as much competition, but it still has a lot of demand from investors and buyers. Increasingly, investor demand. There seems to be a big shift of investors that are more buying properties. They're building, they're buying multifamily, they're doing flips. So again, Halifax, Nova Scotia is one of our favorite markets. Affordable compared to major markets, like if you want to compare to BC or compare it to Toronto, it's still relatively affordable compared to those markets. But like I said, there's been a lot of population growth, there's been a lot of investor demand, and so investors are looking for deals out in Nova Scotia, Halifax. We've done a handful of deals out there, so it's a great market. Strong off-market opportunities. So that is going to be number 5, Nova Scotia, Halifax. All right. Going over to number 4. Number 4 is going to surprise some people here on this call, but believe it or not, it's actually Winnipeg, Manitoba. And I just realized I actually have a spelling mistake here. So Manitoba, Winnipeg is going to be coming in at number 4. It's one of those markets that a lot of people may not know about, but the reason why we had put it on number 4 is because the price point makes sense. It's very, very affordable. You can find properties for as low as $100,000. So when it comes to fundamentals of real estate, it follows that. Cash on cash returns, cash flow, price per unit, all those metrics you can find here. Winnipeg, one of our first mentors when we started, his name is Stefan Arnio, rest in peace. He actually was based out of Winnipeg, and there's tremendous amount of opportunity. So if you're looking for a market to virtually wholesale, I would definitely keep Winnipeg in the list. Very, very strong fundamentals, very strong market. Same thing like I said about Halifax. One of the things you may want to do with these markets is go into some Facebook groups, introduce yourself, let investors know that you're looking for deals, and start building those relationships. So Winnipeg is going to be coming at number 4. Again, like I said, affordable housing. There's strong rental demand because if you can, get a property for $100,000 and you can rent it for $1,300 or $1,200, even $1,300, it meets what's called the 1% rule, which means whatever I rent it for, I should be able to, whatever I buy it for, I should be able to rent this. So in this case, if you get it for $100,000 and you rent it for $1,300, you are meeting the 1% rule. Okay. So again, lots of investor activity, lots of investors buying in Winnipeg, both multifamily, they're building land, and then they're also very strong when it comes to flips out there. So very, very strong market. So that's the same thing that we want to do. We look at the good. There's a lot of investor activity, consistent cash flow, right? So in this case, you're able to get consistent cash flow because the numbers make sense, right? Growing buyers network would be our last point. So that is going to be coming at number 4, Winnipeg, Manitoba. So if you're looking at virtually wholesale, I would definitely keep Winnipeg in the top list because it's, and the other thing is there's not a lot of competition. Again, going back to competition, it's a very, very great solid market. All right, guys, coming in at number 3. Number 3, it's one of my favorite markets. And again, might surprise some folks out here, but that is going to be Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is a very strong market. Some of the things that I really like about Saskatchewan is it is investor focus friendly. So it's a market where you can go in and increase rents. You have a lot of control as a landlord, and therefore Saskatchewan has seen a lot of growth, both investors. There's a lot of positive things that are happening when it comes to investments. So there's a lot of money being invested in Saskatchewan, and it's also very rich in resources such as oil, uranium, and a bunch of other materials. So Saskatchewan is definitely a market that you want to keep in your radar. Now, just like Nova Scotia, just like Winnipeg, the one thing that I would focus on is the major markets, because Saskatchewan as a market, if you look at Saskatchewan overall, not every market is hot. So these are the top 2 markets in Saskatchewan that I would 100% focus on, and that is going to be the capital, Regina. Second market is going to be Saskatoon. those are the only two markets that I would focus on if I was doing virtual wholesale, or even if I was doing wholesaling anywhere. Whether you're in Saskatchewan or whether you want to do it virtually, these are the two markets that you really want to focus on, is Regina and Saskatoon. All the other markets, there's not as much of investor activity, and they tend to be a lot of smaller markets. So what do I like Saskatchewan? Like I said, investor focus friendly, great cash flow, great cash flow. Fundamentals are there. Again, same thing like I mentioned earlier, you get it for $100,000, you can rent it for $1,200-$1,300. So it meets all of the criteria when it comes to investors and what they're looking for. Lower acquisition costs, again, because it's a lot more affordable. The market tends to be a lot more linear, as opposed to some of these other markets that are up and down and up and down like crazy, right? So Saskatchewan is definitely a market that I would keep in your radar. Great opportunities based out of Saskatchewan, but specifically those two markets, Regina and Saskatoon. A lot of investors are looking for flips out there. They're looking for rental properties. Multifamily is very hot in Saskatchewan, specifically those markets. I myself am actually a buyer for multifamily in Saskatoon and Regina. But again, lower acquisition costs, lots of investor activity. A lot of investors from Ontario, a lot of investors from BC, and some other areas are investing now in Saskatchewan, specifically Saskatoon and Regina. So again, great price per door. You can pick up properties for $100,000. You can pick up a building for under $500,000. I mean, it is a great. One of my favorite markets for sure. A lot of motivated sellers, lots of people with equity, because prices are affordable. People are not over leveraged and over in debt like some of the other markets like BC or even other parts of Ontario as well. Motivated sellers and a lot of opportunity. And there's not as much competition. That's the only thing about Saskatoon and Regina. One of our clients is based out of there, Yaha, crushing it out there. He has been just exploding in this market. One of our favorite markets. So we really like Saskatchewan, but specifically Regina and Saskatchewan. Land is good there, houses are good there, and multifamily is very strong there. Okay, guys, so we're down to our last two favorite markets, and maybe you might be surprised by our next two picks, but maybe you're not. But these are our two favorite markets to wholesale real estate in Canada in 2026. Drum roll, please. So the second, and I had a very hard time deciding which one was one or number two. But, this is what we decided. But again, by all means, number two could be easily number one. It was very tight. Number two, top market is going to have a lot of similarities to Saskatchewan. It is going to be Alberta. Alberta is one of the hottest markets in Canada to be invested in today, 2026. It's got all the fundamentals that we talked about with Saskatoon when it comes to investor focus friendly, which means that if I buy a property, I can evict the tenants or I can increase the rents relatively easy. So it's a really very strong, powerful market. It's following up all the fundamentals in terms of economic growth. There's investments happening. The government wants there to be more investments. So Alberta is our second favorite market to wholesale real estate in Canada. Again, guys, keep in mind, this can be done completely virtual. What's some of the things that stood out from Alberta? Strong economic and job growth. Very strong natural resources. Obviously, everybody knows Saskatchewan for oil, but it's got many other natural resources that is just absolutely booming. Taxes are lower, right? It just meets all the things that you want in a market. Active investor community. Lots of investors from BC, from Ontario have shifted to Alberta because of those metrics that I mentioned. Number one that I would say is you're able to evict a tenant and you're able to increase the rents on tenants. So it's very landlord friendly. So we're seeing Alberta becoming one of the top markets in Canada. So again, same thing, lots of active investor community, lots of investors buying in Alberta, developing, buying apartment buildings or buying flips. Flips are very hot. Rapid population growth. The population growth both in Saskatchewan and Alberta have just been going through the roof. Lots of large buyer pools, investors from all over, not just Canada, but outside of Canada are also investing in Alberta. Consistent wholesale opportunities. We've wholesaled a significant amount of deals in Alberta and we'll continue to. So it's one of our favorite markets. Similar to what I said about those other markets, but I would say Alberta has other pockets. Key places to focus on. I would say is Edmonton, Red Deer, Medicine Hat, Calgary, Lethbridge. Those would be the major markets to focus on. And I myself, I'm actually buying multifamilies in Alberta, specifically in Red Deer, in Edmonton, and also Calgary. So I myself am an investor. I'm not investing in Ontario anymore, but I would definitely look at opportunities in Alberta. Now, what are some opportunities that you'll find out there? Fix and flips, multifamily, land development. Those are the three main components of deals that investors are looking for in Alberta. But Alberta is a hot market. Very much like Alberta. It has everything that you need in the market. So if you're looking at virtually wholesale, I would definitely consider Alberta. But I would consider not Edmonton or Calgary, but I would, look at the Red Deer, the Medicine Hat, the Lethbridge. Those sub-markets is where I would focus on. I myself am a multifamily investor, so if you come across a multifamily deal, send it my way. All right, guys. And then without further ado, like I said, number 2, number 1, we're very close. Number 1 market in Canada. Again, 2 and 1 can easily go hand in hand, but just because, it's still, no matter what, still going to be a major market. The number 1 market to wholesale real estate in Canada in 2026 is going to be Ontario. No matter what's going on in Ontario, although there's been a lot of population decline, obviously it's not landlord friendly, Ontario continues to be the best market to wholesale real estate in Canada. And one of the major factors about that is that Ontario is always going to be a major market no matter what. But also, there's just a lot of investor activity in Ontario. And that is one of the things that makes it such a good market. Unlike Alberta, I wouldn't say that it has the same economic growth or investments, but Ontario is always going to be one of the top markets because that's where a lot of the population in Canada lives, is in Ontario. So again, probably the largest, between that and Alberta, very tight, but I'd say Ontario is still number 1 in terms of largest pool of buyers. There's the highest investors activity in anywhere in the country. Most assignment opportunities in terms of sellers that are motivated, buyers that are ready to buy it. Obviously, like anything, the numbers have to make sense. Largest population base, right? That's just where a lot of the people live. They live in Ontario. So Ontario is still going to be number 1. We started in Ontario. We still do deals on a daily basis in Ontario, including the GTA. We just wholesale the deal in Toronto. Strongest demand for off-market deals. Between this and Alberta, there's a lot of demand, but I'd say Ontario still has the largest sums of investors looking for deals. Now, within Ontario, the main markets, or some of the markets that we like a lot, and I might have missed some of them in here, but these are the key metrics, key markets within Ontario that you want to focus on if you're wholesale real estate in Canada. Hamilton, Niagara, Kitchener-Waterloo, Cambridge, London, Sarnia, Sudbury, Belleville, Oshawa, Peterborough, Chatham. I think it says Sarnia in there, yeah. There's also a lot of sub-pockets, like sub-areas between that. Markets, yeah, this covers a lot of the major markets. I'm just trying to think if I forgot any markets. No, I say, like, obviously every market, as long as it's a big enough market, you don't want to, anywhere in Canada, you don't want to be looking at markets that are very small. You want to focus on larger markets like Ontario, like Alberta, but these are the major areas where we've done deals. But again, guys, even in Ontario, even though we live in Ontario, we do it all virtual. We get pictures. We don't see the sellers. We don't see the properties, right? But Ontario, still number 1. At some point, Alberta might take the number 1 place, but as of right now, Ontario is still number 1. Still the number 1 place to wholesale real estate in Canada. So yeah, so that's basically kind of how things work out. And those are the top 5 markets in Canada if you're looking to wholesale real estate. Hope you guys got a lot of value from it. Again, guys, this is one of the best businesses to start off in 2026. All right, guys. So that's it for this video in terms of what we wanted to cover about markets. Now, again, everything that we do, guys, there's 2 paths to this business. You can do the free way, which is the YouTube videos that you see in here, ChatGPT, try to figure it out on your own. That's always going to be an option, and we're always going to be encouraging people wherever fits best for you. But if you are looking for a more of a roadmap, a more of a specific way to do this business, a exact roadmap that we've done and that we help many clients use, then what you want to do is you can set up a call. Now, the ultimate question here says, how to get started with wholesale real estate in Canada, and can it be done virtual? 110% it can be done all virtual. So yes, obviously I'm adding some value here. Some of the places that you can find deals: Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, direct mail, Facebook ads, Google ads, networking, and joint ventures. But like I said, guys, this is all free. We're not here to sell anybody on anything. But beyond this, if you are looking for more of a roadmap, more of a step-by-step process of exactly how to wholesale real estate, go ahead and book a call in the comments. You'll find it in the comments below. Again, we've done over 200 plus wholesale deals. We'll provide you with contracts, the marketing, the process, the help, everything that you need to get your first deal. Book a strategy call with us, and we'll figure out if you're a good fit and if we're able to actually help you accomplish your goals. Okay, guys? Again, we've helped a little bit over 100 plus students get their first deal. So hope you guys got tremendous value. If you're still not sure about something, make sure to comment below so I can make more videos about that specific thing that you may be stuck on. But that is it for the top markets. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys have a great, tremendous day.